SeatGeek is the easiest way to find the best deals on tickets to pretty much any live event. Concerts, sports, theater, comedy, whatever you want. Download the SeatGeek app today and enter promo code SEATS to save $20 on your first purchase.
Draft. Then today, Thursday, Mizzou picked up a commitment from a walk-on, Parker Braun, out of Blue Valley Northwest, who will go on scholarship after 1 year. So a lot happening, and now we know the basketball roster, so why not get together and talk about it?
Why not?
Yeah, okay. What else have you been up to recently? You've been
not
hanging
much.
out.
Yeah, not much.
Things are winding down here.
Been watching Veep on HBO with Julia Louis-Dreyfus. It's okay. Doing a lot of reading.
You're a Westworld fan?
Everyone's telling me to get into it. You know, my best friend since the first grade, Evan, is like obsessed with it. But he told me that he has to, there's so much going on that he has to watch a YouTube video.
Yeah, or a recap podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and each episode is like a movie. They're all an hour, so
yeah,
it's a lot, but it's a really good show. So that's if you only listen to the first minute and a half of this podcast, what you should take away is that you should watch Westworld. But anyway, let's jump into the everything here. I mean, what did you make of Jontay coming back?
Yeah, if you asked me about this a month ago, I would have thought he was gone.
Yeah.
And even if you asked me at the Combine when Michael Porter Sr. told you that
his stock was good, that's why he's not scrimmaging. Yeah, to me that was okay, let's we just need to not mess anything up before he stays in this.
Yeah, so a couple weeks ago I wouldn't have believed you, but it seems like after the Combine, especially it's funny because he didn't partake in the 5-on-5 because of his stock, but to me, I had thought that if he were to have played in the 5-on-5, he had the highest body fat, his shuttle drill or whatever it was.
The drill day wasn't great. Which I feel like people don't care as much about as they do in the NFL, but still matters. Or maybe it's just that the NBA Combine is not quite the spectacle the NFL Combine is.
But I think maybe playing in the 5-on-5 would have made executives forget about some of those numbers.
Right, because he's much better with teammates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of surprised me about their actions at the Combine was that it seems like they kind of mishandled the situation, and maybe if he played in the 5-on-5, he could have stayed in the draft potentially, he could have gotten a guarantee. But then, the last couple weeks, it seems like the wind started to shift toward him coming back. We started to hear a lot of that. Other people did too, and then he had that workout with the Hawks that we thought would be a big thing on Tuesday. That didn't happen.
Yeah, when he didn't do that, I was kind of okay, he's not coming back. And also, he was posting on his Instagram from
Colorado.
From Colorado for the ultimate athlete training camp.
Yeah,
some
fellowship Christian.
Yeah, it's like a Christian athletic retreat basically for Mizzou athletes and athletes from other schools. So yeah, when he was hanging in Colorado and not training, I kind of thought maybe something was changing here. But I did think when all the reports were coming out from these NBA reporters that he was leaning back towards coming back to school, part of me was it was all coming out at once from multiple people. It's normally when that stuff happens, it's a purposeful leak, right? Someone has to be pushing this info. So I thought, okay, well then maybe this is just to try to get a team to promise him that he's going to get picked in the first round or whatever else. But clearly not. So he's going to come back, and I don't.
Real quick before we get to yesterday, Jeff Goodman even tweeted, "I don't think Jontay Porter comes back," and that gave me pause for thought, just because he's gotten some Porter news before.
But then he backtracked 2 seconds later. So I think if we learned anything the past year of Mizzou athletics that's now winding down is that nothing is official with the Porters until it's official. Until you have a press release or until Michael Porter Jr. is in uniform. But yeah, so I don't know. I get it on both hands. The whole he'd be the 45th pick and not get a guaranteed contract. That is becoming less and less of a thing. Second round picks do get guaranteed contracts. For me, it seemed and obviously I'm not the one making this financial decision, but it seemed like it would matter less about how much money he could get or if money would be guaranteed, more just is he mature enough to do it? I think he's a very smart kid, but he does, I don't know how to describe it other than that when you talk to him, it feels like you're talking to a kid, right? There's sort of this innocence to him that you pick up on, and I don't know how he would have handled being in the NBA around like adults, and I really don't know how he would have handled if he had been a late round pick or late first round pick or early second round pick, getting sent to the G League and taking buses with all these guys to like
middle of nowhere,
Sioux Falls or Portland, Maine or whatever. Portland, Maine, nice place though. But yeah, like
crab.
Yeah, I found out actually. I think Des Moines has a G League team. So
yes,
there's
Iowa
Wolves.
Energy.
No, Wolves now.
That's
yeah.
right. They used to be the Energy.
But anyway, there's some decent talents in the G League, and now we'll get back on track. But like, but yeah, no. So like, the G League is full of a lot of guys who like this is their last chance because they screwed around and they got arrested or whatever. I mean, it's like I just don't know if he would have fit in that environment. So to me, it makes sense if he doesn't feel like he's mature enough, or his parents don't feel like he's mature enough. To come back, so that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, the other thing with the G League though now is as the G League's kind of become more developed as a minor league system, I think the G League is also full of guys that you look at and you remember them in college, but they haven't really done anything with the NBA, and they're the guys that declared but went undrafted or like late second round picks, and I think Jontay's too good to kind of fall into that category.
Right.
And with him coming back now, I mean, he was playing at this time last year. He wasn't even a Missouri Tiger. Right. He was playing AAU. A full summer with Nicodemus Christopher should do him wonders.
Right.
I mean, Jeremiah Tillman gained like 15 pounds of muscle last summer.
Should trim down that body fat now.
Yeah. So that should be big for him, and I really think just him, as you kind of said, when you talk, I think first off, Jontay's a very, as you said, smart kid. I mean, when we've interviewed him after games, like there's stuff that I wouldn't have picked up on in the game that like then he'll bring it up.
Yeah.
And like when at Vanderbilt last year when he torched them and like flirted with a triple double, and he said, watch a big guy guard me when I'm taking a three, like he doesn't really know what to do.
Yeah.
And the next couple games I watched the big guys when he was shooting threes, and they don't know what. So like he's very observant. You can tell he has a high IQ, but yeah, he still talks and sounds like a kid. And I think this is kind of, I don't want to get too off track, but the whole thing with reclassifying and the one and done rule and everything is that some of these kids that would go earlier into college in the NBA, they maybe have the athleticism and the game to kind of justify it, but do they have the mental capacity?
Right. Yeah, and so, I mean, who knows? Maybe it was a Porter determination. Maybe it was that they weren't getting the feedback that they wanted in terms of that he was certain to be picked as high as he wanted. Who knows? But maybe we'll find out more about that when we meet with Konzo and potentially players next week. But regardless, I mean, huge for Mizzou because this was a team that without him, I mean, like, who do you know is going to score?
Jeremiah Tillman was not getting fouled.
Yeah, Jeremiah Tillman when he's not fouled out. Kevin
Purrier,
who has proven to score if he needs to, but I mean, if you're relying on him to give you a lot of buckets, your team's probably not going to be great. And then Torrance Watson, who you hope, but I mean, who knows how he's going to do when he can't get to the rim every time.
Same with KJ Santos.
Yeah, so there were a lot of basically very little proven reliable scoring ability on this Mizzou team. And you could argue, I mean, Jontay's not super reliable. He was pretty up and down as a freshman, but came on strong at the end. But, I mean, still, probably he's going to be the best player on this team. He'll be his team. I mean, the great thing about his passing ability is, I mean, you can run an offense through him, and he can stretch the floor, all things that Konzo Martin wants. And his passing is huge and hugely important for a team that is going to have 2 point guards, and Jordan Geist and Xavier Pinson. Pinson is a freshman who told us that he weighs 158 pounds right now. So I don't know how much you can rely on him. So I think that, again, Jontay's huge. Him coming back is huge, and now they probably can contend for an NCAA tournament berth. I don't know if they would have before.
I agree on all that, and I think you look at him, first off, because of his skill set, he makes everyone on the floor better, and he takes the load off of everyone, too. Torrance Watson, it's inevitable. Those guys, Pinson and Watson and Javon Pickett. Javon Pickett and KJ Santos are both kind of in this weird gray area coming in where they're a year removed from playing basketball, essentially. Pickett doesn't have an injury history, but Santos does, and you really don't know what you're going to get out of them. And it's inevitable all those guys hit a wall of some sort at some point during the season, and I think Jontay kind of alleviates some of that. Yeah. And if Jeremiah Tillman can take a big step, I think Tillman is now the X factor on this team. If he can play 25 minutes a game every night and stay out of foul trouble and give you a double-double, this team is definitely an NCAA tournament team.
Yeah. And I really liked those lineups when Jontay and Tillman shared the floor. And it didn't happen all the time last year. And sometimes not really much at all. But I think you'll see a lot of it this year. And I mean, if you're a guard going to the basket, that's not a fun place to be. I mean, you have two guys who are, close to 7 feet tall, down there.
It's funny you say that because I covered the Alabama game this year. You were back here for other stuff. Jeremiah Tillman was telling us after that game that he really likes playing on the floor when Jontay Porter is, because he said, I'm still learning the college game at this point, and when Jontay's on the floor and I know the ball's coming to me, I can plan what I'm going to do, and I don't always have that luxury. So this really benefits Tillman having the two of them play a lot more together, because Tillman said before that Jontay gives him time to think that he normally wouldn't have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the biggest questions, or the thing that's most intriguing to me is he has a potential now to be a top 10 pick or a lottery pick, depending on how things go. But it's, from my perspective, it's really obvious kind of the stuff that teams are going to want to see if he improves on, right? I mean, you wonder how he handles like playing close to the basket. Sometimes he was kind of hesitant to really use his size. Maybe he needs to get a bit stronger, which he could do this summer, obviously, like you mentioned earlier. He can have a full year of workouts. But playing close to the basket is a big thing for me. And then it seems like when he would go up against stronger competition, the game at A&M against Tyler Davis stands out. He would kind of just disengage. So those are big things. And then I don't know how athleticism, you can't really change much from one year to another, but maybe if you can get us to step quicker and stuff like that, because he is a good defender in terms of he knows where to stand. Like it's just like how fast can he shift over and whatnot.
Yes, no, I agree with all that. I'm trying to find a mock draft for 2019 that might have some indication. I remember, they haven't updated this stuff since yesterday's news where the guys withdrawing and staying in. I saw somewhere that Jontay was like the number 10 overall pick for the 2019
draft. I believe it, yeah.
Yeah, and I agree.
It's generally viewed as a weaker draft than this one.
Yes, exactly. And I think that a summer with Nicodemus will definitely improve his numbers across the board. I don't know. I think the body fat number coming down will be huge. Kind of like what you said with like the shuttle times and all that stuff. Like Shaquille O'Neal was a gigantic human being, and I bet he was really slow in that stuff, but he still went one overall.
Right.
So I definitely think that, as you said, the athleticism and stuff probably isn't as much of a big deal, but I definitely think that an improvement across the board in that stuff will definitely do him some favors.
Right.
And the three-point shooting, I think he shot in like the 30s from three this year. If he could get that to like around 40, I think that'd be big for him. And, because he's such a triple-double threat, I feel like if he could get over 100 assists for the season, then you figure the rebounds and the points will take care of themselves. I think that'd be an interesting number for him, just because how many guys 6'10" in college basketball have like a number like that? You know what I mean?
No, yeah, for sure. And I mean, the thing is, Mizzou is going to need him to be good every night in order to win a lot of games. He was pretty inconsistent as a freshman. I mean, even after he went on that hot streak at the end of his freshman season, and then he was like a no-show in the NCAA tournament. So, was it the NCAA tournament? He wasn't great. He was really good in the SEC tournament, but not the NCAA tournament. Yeah, so I mean, like I said, he's just like he was kind of inconsistent his freshman year. Consistency is going to be huge. Willingness to go to the basket is going to be huge. So we'll see. Regardless, I think the season's a lot more interesting now than it would have been otherwise.
Absolutely, and some off-the-court things I think that'll be interesting. This will be the first time in Jontay's life, essentially, that Mike is nowhere around.
Yeah. And
maybe Mike gets drafted to Dallas or Chicago and he's a plane right away, but...
Or maybe that Kansas City expansion team.
Yeah. Maybe Jared Sutton's dreams come true.
Yeah, but that's a reference to former Mizzou walk-on Jared Sutton saying an NBA executive told him Kansas City would be in line for an NBA team at some point, but that obviously won't happen anytime soon. Anyway, continue.
But it'll be completely, as you said, Jontay's team. Jontay will be the only Porter in the spotlight, and I'm curious to see how that whole thing goes. Jontay, I think Mike definitely embraced the spotlight, while Jontay can kind of take it or leave it. I don't think he minded talking to us and dealing with reporters, but I don't think it's something that he.
Right.
It wasn't one.
But he's gonna be the star of the team. He's gonna.
Yeah, he's gonna be a preseason all-conference player most likely. He could contend for conference player of the year, especially because of the numbers he could put up. And I think I was saying this in the story I wrote yesterday for the Star. If the entire Porter's left after 1 year, it already looks like Sierra's also going to medically retire and everything. I don't know what the taste would have been like in Mizzou fans' mouths for this family that came back after 1 year and kind of underachieved and everything. And I think Jontay having a good year and leading Mizzou to another NCAA tournament appearance. And, there's going to be no Instagram teasing with him. And, he still does the cryptic tweets, which is a Porter trait.
Yeah. But he waited like 30 minutes after Mizzou announced that he was coming back to put anything online.
Yeah, well, what's funny is that in his Instagram story yesterday, like, after he announced it, like, he posted, like, an Instagram story of him, like, at a lake, like,
still in Colorado, I think.
Yeah, and I thought, like, man, like, his phone's blowing up, and he's just, like, on this lake.
Yeah.
Probably with no cell service. So, I'm kind of curious just to see if he can help, repair or further help this
change this legacy
of this family,
this blip in Mizzou history.
Yeah, and I think just even like from the the marketing standpoint, I mean, the last time Missouri had 2 consecutive years with an NBA first round pick was 1991 and 1992. Anthony Peeler and Doug Smith, 2 program legends. For Conzo Martin having his first 2 years an NBA pick in each year when Frank Hayes, who had some good teams, didn't have that.
Yeah.
We don't even need to talk about Kim Anderson. Quinn Snyder had an Elite 8 team. Mike Anderson had an Elite 8 team. They each had like 1 first-round pick.
Right.
I think that, and with the NBA presence being such a big thing in recruiting now, I just think that's huge for Conzo. I mean, he's going to be able to sell recruits the player development job they do on Jontay this next year now. So, I mean, Conzo could say, if Jontay's a green room invite and goes top 10, you could say, this guy was like a projected late first-round pick or early second-round pick, and we made him a lottery pick.
Right.
So I think even just the off-the-court stuff, the marketing and the perception, I mean, because the range that Jontay can go in the draft is going to be so big, there's going to be a ton of scouts and executives coming through Mizzou Arena next year, and that's going to benefit Jeremiah Tillman as well. I don't know if there's anyone else on the roster right now I think Drew Smith and Mark Smith could get looks down the road, but they're sitting out. Career, I don't even know if he get invited to a workout because of his size. But, I mean, just the other things that help the program off the court.
Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned that when you wrote yesterday, too. Like, when you're recruiting kids for this 2019 class, you can say, look what we're doing right now. Look what we could do if you arrived. So, that's big, obviously. And just, I mean, Conzo could take him back-to-back NCAA tournaments at first 2 years after inheriting arguably the worst Power 5 team in all of the country. So
and the fact that he won't have a rebuilding year yet, I mean, I'm going to play best case scenario right here. So we know there won't be a rebuilding year now for the first 3 years. They were all in with Michael Porter this past year, now Jontay this year. They get Drew Smith and Mark Smith eligible the following year, which will be huge. And then the next year, assuming they get some 2019 guys like E.J. Liddell or Mario McKinney or one of those, or a couple of those guys, they'll have them for the 2019-2020 season along with KJ Santos, potentially Tillman for a junior year, both Smiths eligible, Torrance Watson. And then 2020, if they were to land Josh Christopher, who's Nicodemus' cousin, a 5-star out of California, that team would have Santos, again, potentially Tillman, because we don't know about his NBA stock. Both Smiths, an upperclassman, Torrance Watson, and then these 2019 guys that have a year under the belt. That is a crazy, crazy team.
Yeah.
And that would mean Conzo would have been here like 5 years without a rebuilding year, just straight competitiveness.
Yeah.
And whenever he would have hit a lull, because you figure it's going to happen eventually, unless you're Duke or Kentucky, never have a rebuilding year. But
He'll built up enough capital,
Yeah, it's like what he inherited compared to where he could take the program given the situation is just mind-boggling.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Speaking of recruiting stuff and all that, do you want to talk a bit about Parker Braun?
Yeah, so you woke me up to a phone call this morning saying Parker Braun committed to Missouri as a walk-on, which was kind of crazy just because he's a guy that, Missouri knows about him. He's very close with Jontay. They played on Mocan. And I was talking to his high school coach. He really benefited from not committing in the fall and all this FBI stuff because Arizona offered him Ole Miss, and then he picked up LSU, Illinois. I mean, he's one of those guys that just kind of benefited from
openings and people needing the body.
Yeah. So
what were his offers in the fall?
He
wasn't really a Power 5 prospect.
He had some places, but like LSU's going to be considered a big time SEC team this year. Maybe he had the lower half of the Power 5 conferences, but obviously Arizona's a regular Pac-12 contender. Illinois is rebuilding under Brad Underwood, but they're a solid program when they're good. Ole Miss has a new coach, but they have some history with Andy Kennedy. But just better than what he had.
And Nebraska, he took a visit.
Nebraska is going to be a top 25 preseason team now. They got some guys back from the draft, so. To me, it was kind of hit me over the course of the day. I don't know why teams can't do this more. Don't do this more if they can. Like you had a Power 5 caliber recruit.
And
you walk him on for a
he's
year.
Not on the books this year. Scholarship. Yeah.
You walk him on for 1 year. I still think we can talk about rotation minutes in a second, but you get him for free for 1 year, and then we don't know if he's going to redshirt or what.
Yeah, but you'd presume he would. They probably have enough front court depth. You probably don't need him.
Yeah.
Next year.
Yeah, so you get him for a year for free, and then you get 4 years of him on the books. I mean, you think about teams that just can't take guys because they run out of room, or it's just they have too many bodies in one position right now. But this guy's a Power 5 player that can go to school for free. You kind of wonder about finances, and to give you an example, like Shaquille O'Neal and Sharif is committed to UCLA. If he wanted to go to a school that was full, I mean, he can clearly afford a year of tuition, and again, he'll be a player in the rotation or whatever. Some people say, well, you don't do that to a player that caliber. It's like, if it's for the betterment of the team and the kids on board, I mean, who cares? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm trying to think, wasn't there another high caliber walk-on somewhere recently? McDermott wasn't a walk-on, was he, at Creighton?
I don't think so.
But no, I mean, I totally agree. It's a pretty deft move if you can pull it off. As long as you can find a prospect who doesn't care about the.
You're correct, John. Doug McDermott was a walk-on for his final season.
So that's what I thought. Yeah, because he can afford it. His dad was making millions of dollars. Yeah. So it's a good move. Who knows how much Parker Braun ultimately plays in Mizzou, but it's some front court depth and you're getting a talented kid in the building without having to use a scholarship for a year, and then.
And you look at the optics of it. I mean, Conzo Martin's class now. You have Torrance Watson and Javon Pickett from right across the river,
right?
And then you have Parker Braun. I mean, you get guys from both sides of the state in your first recruiting class, and Kim Anderson struggled to get these guys. The one thing I wonder about is Braun's younger brother Christian is a player for the MoCan right now. He's good, but how good is he? And is he a guy that, I kind of wonder about Steve Alford and Coach K. They took one brother of the Plumleys and the Balls to UCLA and Duke, and obviously LeAngelo Ball wasn't going to be anything like his brother. And what was the last Plumlee? Marshall?
Marshall. He was supposed to be the best one, too.
And they all say the last one's the best one. Yeah. So, so I kind of wonder now, is Conzo was part of this whole thing? And I'm supposed to get Parker Braun after this podcast is recorded, but, is the brother now going to commit to Mizzou? And there's Mizzou's point guard for the 2019 class, and there's no Rocket Watts or Mario McKinney. And I don't think they do that, and those guys can play off the ball anyway, but I just kind of wonder now, so is Mizzou on the hook for the younger brother now, too? Or is their understanding, if we can take him, we will, but...
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about regarding basketball?
Yeah, I'm as you said, it's going to be interesting to see what Conlon says this week about this whole Braun deal. Cameron Fletcher visited yesterday from Vashon. Speaking of Mario McKinney, that's his teammate for 2019. I would have been interested to be on that visit yesterday because just think about it, you're on campus when they get the biggest news of the year.
Yeah.
And, how does your sales pitch change? What was said at the beginning of the visit that might have changed now? And I assume that they knew that what the decision was going to be. But, if you're with Conzo and you see the fan reaction on Twitter and all that stuff, that has to be a pretty cool thing to be at.
Yeah, no, for sure. And football has a couple official visitors this week.
Yeah, Kyron Williams and Jack Buford, both out of St. Louis. Yeah. Kyron Williams is an athlete. He can kind of play, could be a wideout, a DB. I don't really know where he'd go in college. And then Buford's this big offensive lineman. Right. I don't know what you do in an official visit this time either. I know guys are back on campus for workouts, but
it's not like there's a bunch going on.
Yeah, what did Barry Odom say about? Hope there's a good movie. Solo's out in theaters. Yeah. I saw Deadpool last night. So
yeah, Odom is not a fan of being able to host official visits right now, but you have to do it, and they also only have 2 commitments for 2019, so they got to really get working.
Yeah, and the thing with the Tiger 10 last year was that they were trying to get an in-state kid to jump on board early, and that didn't happen, and then they went 1 for 10. If you can get a guy or 2 over the summer,
right,
you go into the season with momentum, and then who knows what happens. So that'd be pretty big. I could see both sides of visiting this early. If you play for like especially, we're both from areas that are big in high school football. If you play like on a state powerhouse and you're gonna like expect it to be playing like deep at like what's the Texas State Finals like in December or something like that, like I could see wanting to take a visit this time of year. I mean, if every Friday
clears up your life a little bit. I wouldn't take all of them right now in case someone gets fired, or you get better late offers. But no, I mean I think taking one of them now or 2 of them now makes sense.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, let's wrap this up. We're now done with the Mizzou athletics year, basically. Our first year doing this together. What was your what's like one moment stands out to you? Biggest moment of the year for you?
Biggest day in summary of this job was probably the Friday where Aaron Earlyone got fired on our way to St. Louis to talk to E.J. Liddell. We met Javon Pickett at Panera and talked about Grey's Anatomy. Went over to hang out with E.J. At E.J.'s game when the Terrence Phillips stuff starts. Get back to the hotel very late. Drive to Starkville the next day, which was through the middle of nowhere.
Well, we should say we flew to Birmingham.
We flew to Birmingham to drive to Starkville.
And then the Terrence Phillips reveal that it was Title IX on the way in the Dallas airport. Yeah, that was a terrible weekend. That was a bad weekend. I was going to say Michael Porter Jr.'s game against Georgia, just because I never thought he was going to play for Mizzou, and to see him in uniform after all this ongoing drama was pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, it was a wild time to this year. I mean, even football, which maybe you could argue wasn't super compelling at times. They won, all those games in a row at the end, made a bowl game, which seemed impossible. So yeah, a lot happened this year, and I think you mentioned it with you have Drew Lock, in-state guy, leading football. You got Jontay, in-state hometown kid, leading men's basketball. You got Sophie Cunningham leading women's basketball, another in-state kid, hometown kid. So, I mean, I think there's going to be plenty more to cover next year, and we'll keep the train rolling during summer. I was going to say,
when you were asking about the whole year in review, my whole take on the year is that it was a good year for Mizzou athletics, but it still wasn't what it should have been. Basketball, obviously, who knows what they could have done if Mike was healthy the whole year. And then even football, they lost to Purdue. They lost some of these games that they just shouldn't have. And yeah, they made a bowl game and it was good, but even the Texas Bowl, Texas is missing some of its best players and they still find a way to lose. So, and again, Mizzou's not going to win every bowl game it gets to, but to me it was just in summary, it was a good year for Mizzou, but you can't help but wonder what could have been a little bit. What if Mizzou doesn't have this awful start to the football season?
What if Michael Porter played all season?
What if the women beat Florida Gulf Coast in the first round of the NCAA tournament?
And played a more traditional sort of matchup.
If baseball won 1 or 2 more series, if Aaron Earlyone was there for the entire season, and I don't think, especially the last 2 diamond sports, I don't think baseball was a College World Series team, and I don't think softball was going to be in Oklahoma City right now, but it's just a lot of intent, what could have been for this whole year. And next year is going to be interesting because you get your last year of Drew Lock, you get your last year of Sophie Cunningham, presumably your last year of Jontay. How much do they make out of all this?
Right, absolutely. Well, we will be there for all of it, and I'll now use this time to obligatory plug the Mizzou Zone app, which you can get on App Store for iTunes, to get all the Stars Mizzou content in one place. And you can also like the Facebook page, also called Mizzou Zone, where you just get it in your Facebook feed. And Schiff likes to go on there and talk about recruiting on Facebook Live sometimes. Do Facebook Live after games, so you can watch the press conference if you're into that. So there's a lot on there for you. So please go ahead and like that. And thanks for listening to this. What are you going to do the rest of the day? You going to go see Solo?
I didn't want to do back-to-back movie nights because I feel like it's not a great look for me socially.
It's summertime. You're good.
Yeah, so I got some other stuff to get done, and I'll probably see Solo over the weekend. It's the finals tonight, so I don't want to... What's your NBA Finals prediction?
The Warriors are 5.
I'm going to say Warriors in 6 just because I don't want it to be a blowout again. I don't mind the two teams playing each other, but it's just like, I'm getting a little tired of it, I'm not going to lie.
All right, well, thanks, everybody.